From one top draft pick bust to another, let's ask the question right here. Is Kirby Dach a bust? Now, Lego, what the hell are you talking about? He's 25 years old. He's still young. There's still a lot of time for Dach to work things out and become the Ryan Getzlaf-esque top-line center that he was supposed to be back when he was taken in the 3rd overall spot in the 2019 NHL Entry Draft. In fact, I gotta say this at the very beginning of the video because it always comes up, but for whatever reason, the Montreal Canadiens always seem to be getting these 3rd overall guys onto their team. And more often than not, they all happen to be disappointing compared to the potential status of a 3rd overall pick and what that type of a player should provide. Let's take a look at it right here. So in 2019, the 3rd overall pick was Kirby Dach. He became a Hab inevitably. In 2018, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, total bust. In 2016, Pierre-Luc Dubois was taken 3rd overall, and while Dubois is good, there was a significant period like 2-3 years ago where Dubois was linked to the Montreal Canadiens, and we all thought that it was an inevitability because he only wanted to go to Montreal. And then you dive into the 2013 and 2012 eras, where Jonathan Drouin went 3rd to the Lightning. Yes, he had a good season with Montreal, but for the most part, he ain't that great. And then Montreal's last 3rd overall pick in the 2012 NHL Draft, Alex Galchenyuk, obviously he was a total bust in terms of his on-ice talent, which was scarce in moments throughout his career, and then his off-ice personality as well. I mean, does anybody remember what was going on with Alex Galchenyuk and the police officer? Yeah, okay, we're really veering off topic here, but let's talk about Kirby Dach, yet another one of these disappointing 3rd overall picks that found themselves onto the Montreal Canadiens at some point or another, and ask whether or not he really is a bust, using this article by Gabriel Sammy on HabsFanatics.com as our inspiration. You see, Kirby Dach was offered a 2-way contract by the Montreal Canadiens, a result that he supposedly was not a fan of. The Habs submitted a 2-way qualifying offer to Dach, and time was running out on his case. The offer was enough to raise eyebrows. The qualifying offer that Dach received from the Montreal Canadiens would have seen him get $4 million in the NHL, but just over $100,000 per year if he ended up in the American Hockey League. Clearly, Kent Hughes wanted to protect himself in case Dach played so poorly that he had to be assigned to the Laval Rocket. You read that correctly. Now, I do fully acknowledge that the article maybe is taking things a little bit too far with its exaggeration, but giving a qualifying offer to a guy in a 2-way capacity is generally not done, especially for players that have played strictly in the NHL the past 5 years. The last time Kirby Dach played a game in the American Hockey League was in the 2019-20 season for Rockford, and he only had 3 games played in total that season with that team. He has been an NHL athlete the past 5+ years. So the idea that he's getting offered a contract that is 2-way, one that would pay him just over $100,000 a year if he plays in the American Hockey League, that's not ideal. So with all that said, this article goes out there and asks the question as to whether or not it's worth it, and whether or not Kirby Dach actually deserved a 2-way contract. Nicolas Cloutier confirmed that the Canadiens could have qualified Dach with a 1-way offer. The CBA allowed either option. Kent Hughes deliberately chose the 2-way format, the one that provides the player with less protection. This is the excerpt from Jeremy Filosa, posted on Twitter and talked about in English on this article. Kirby Dach has received a 2-way qualifying offer. It's very rare for a player with his seniority in the NHL to receive this type of offer. That's why Dach has requested arbitration, and on this clause he'll likely prevail. That explains a bit better why his camp decided arbitration would be a good idea. That doesn't mean the two sides won't find common ground before then, but it could leave some scars. The The Canadiens are saying nothing more and nothing less than it's not impossible that Dach will be so bad next year that he'll be forced to return to Laval. And if that were the case, they wouldn't want to pay him an NHL salary. The Canadiens gain no other benefit from filing this two-way qualifying offer. It says a lot about their confidence level in him. So there you go. That's the kicker. What reason would the Canadiens have to give Dach a two-way qualifying offer that gives him a different amount of money paid in the AHL if they weren't even just a little bit worried that he was going to be not good enough that he would need to get sent down to the AHL? Essentially, the mere existence of a two-way qualifying offer versus a one-way qualifying offer implies that the Canadiens think there's a possibility that he may actually not be good enough to strictly be an NHL athlete. And in that scenario, it's like, well, if you get sent down to Laval, we don't want to pay you $4 million a year. We'll pay you the AHL dollar amount. We'll give you just over $100,000. And from Kirby Dach's perspective, it's like, wait a minute, what? You're giving me the possibility to make so much less money if I go to the American Hockey League? Wait a minute, what? You think there's a possibility that I can go to the American Hockey League? What are you talking about, Kent Hughes? So with all that said, I think it does lend itself a pretty big hand to the discussion as to whether or not Kirby Dach is a bust at third overall. This article goes out there and says that this entire situation says a lot about how the Canadiens currently view Dach, and it's not good news for Dach fans. It's unfortunate to see such a dramatic shift in how the organization appears to view a player. What's more, if Dach truly believed in himself without hesitation, he would likely sign the offer, confident that another team would claim him off of waivers if it ever were to come to that. By hesitating, Dach appears to be revealing a concern that he could clear waivers without any team stepping forward to claim him. That is really interesting as well. If Dach knows he is an NHL guy, if he knows and is confident enough that he belongs in the NHL, then why wouldn't he just accept the qualifying offer with two-way support? Okay, if I'm bad enough that I get sent down, some other team will claim me and I'll stick around in the National Hockey League making $4 million a year. But if he doesn't think that he'll actually get claimed, there's a lot of lost earning potential if he does go to Laval in the event that this two-way offer actually gets accepted. So I think just the optics of all of it, how the Canadiens offered it, how Dach was really difficult with it, him and his agent and his people and all that, they weren't willing to accept it, they had to go to arbitration. I think that does reveal a lot about how either party views the player. And don't get me wrong, Dach did have some pretty good moments throughout the course of the playoffs this season. Now, sure, he did go, 9 games without getting a single point, but he did have a pretty good redemption moment in round 1 versus the Lightning. Is Dach living up to that third overall status, though? Is he the soft-touched hands playmaker that we all saw in Saskatoon when he was playing in the WHL in 2018-19? No, he's not that. He's not playing in the same ballerina on skates, really big, supreme playmaker, Ryan Getzlaf-style guy that he was supposed to be back in the day. Things have taken a very unfortunate turn, and a lot of that isn't his fault with all the injuries that he had sustained over the years. But at some point, I think the B word is appropriate to bring up when it comes to talking about Dach and whether or not he is a bust. So with all that said, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Do you agree, disagree with this idea, or not? Let me know in the comments, what do you think? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.